Welcome everyone to the Chris Perish podcast. We are at number 61, episode 61. Feeling good. How is everyone doing? But first things first, we got to give a big shout out to the sponsors of the Chris Perish podcast, that being the proud sponsor of beercadewhyte. That's right. If you want to go and get yourself a good little bevy, to get some great food, but then also maybe go play some arcade games, go to beercadewhyte, located on 105 82nd Ave in Edmonton, Alberta. And to get more information, go check them out on beercadewhyte on the X, beercadewhyte on Instagram, and beercadewhyte on Facebook. Check them out this upcoming Saturday while they have a free playing airing of the WWE 2025 Royal Rumble. That's right, because they will be handing out a beautiful prize to the winners of each men and women's Rumble when they hand out to 30 people a number. And if that number represents the winner who comes out at that number, you are deemed the winner of that Rumble. And because we have a beautiful partnership, we have decided to make sure that that same winner also receives a gift from the actual Royal Rumble event. So make sure you're checking out beercadewhyte and this Saturday for the WWE 2025 Royal Rumble. Also, a shout out to Turnbuckle Studios and the affiliation program, or if you want to check out affiliation program.my.canva.site, you can get your introduction, your first impression of content creation to podcasting, and you could join the Turnbuckle Studios family and get your show, your ideas, your name on the video that we will play later in this episode. How has everybody been? We got Chris Best CBRS Entertainment in the house. How are you doing today, sir? One member of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. That's right. Now, I wouldn't be reminded if you guys are watching on all the different platforms, the 5 moves of doom of the Chris Perish podcast, Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitch, the X, and the Instagram. If you guys have a chance to like, follow, subscribe to the channels respectively, hit the notification bell button, but more importantly, share, engage. Engaging is the best way to have some fun here on the Chris Perish podcast. So if you want to keep your comments respectful and lighthearted in a way, then they're all welcome. But we want to make sure that you are having a good time. So hopefully you guys are doing so. First things first, I want to let everybody know that we have a great show tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about last night's Saturday night main event. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Royal Rumble this upcoming Saturday. And then I am going to list down my 5 favorite Royal Rumble moments. Plus, I'm going to announce the winners of the Chris Perish podcast draft number 2. So we have an all-star lineup here today. First off, we're going to talk a little bit about Saturday night's main event. Why? Because it just happened last night. It was absolutely fantastic. And we saw 4 matches. One being for the Women's World Championship. Reigning champion Rhea Ripley defended against Nia Jax. What was a good physical bout. And let me tell you, I don't think this is the end of these two. I do fully expect Nia Jax to become a permanent member of the Raw roster that allows Rhea Ripley to have a counterpart in the power and strength game. I think she could be somebody that eventually takes the championship away from Rhea, which is not a bad thing. Now, Do I think it's going to be anytime soon? No, because I think after this match where we did see Rhea Ripley beat Nia Jax with the help of a riptide, but more in the power bomb type way instead of the slam that she normally dishes out, I see Nia Jax kind of waiting in the wings for the Royal Rumble, and we're going to see Nia Jax kind of have that monster role, as we have known to kind of call it in the Women's Royal Rumble. I do think we'll probably get maybe somebody like Jordynne Grace eliminating Nia Jax out of the Royal Rumble to kind of ensure that she is not the winner. Because I have Io Sky winning the 2025 Royal Rumble, despite the rumors that people are hearing Tiffany Stratton going up against Charlotte Flair or Bianca Belair going up against Rhea Ripley. I have no issues with either one of those. But I think Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for that World Women's title is a fresh matchup, and I wouldn't hate it. Although I wouldn't hate the Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. I do think that those are kind of like your modern day Rock and Austin in terms of your women's division. But I also think just given the story with Jade Cargill, we're going to see something with Bianca and Jade perhaps at WrestleMania, or even Naomi involved in there as well. So that's why I just don't think Bianca Belair is going to win the Rumble. I think we're going to see something mixed with Jade Cargill. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't expect kind of that to kind of go through. Although, that is how you get this rivalry started on with the Bay. Kind of having, kind of last over the time. I can definitely see them having a couple of WrestleMania matches. But in terms of the Nia Jax Rhea Ripley match, I mean, obviously, I think one of the status quos of this show is that it was more of a limited television show, television broadcast. So we're not going to get all of the long matches like we've been used to on SmackDown when that show is 3 hours and Raw is roughly around the 2.5 hour mark. Sometimes it goes longer, but that was only the initial Netflix episode. So we're getting more of the tight times, which is completely fine because I don't think these matches needed any more than what they had, simply because I think it's okay to save those types of matches for another time. And I don't think we've seen the last of Rhea and Nia Jax. So what's the point of having this big elaborate match when you know you're probably going to run it again later on? But I do like the fact that Rhea got the win. She had that big test right away after she won the title back from Liv Morgan, and because of that, she's able to not only build some steam but really get a true role going in to the Royal Rumble, that road to WrestleMania. So I'm very intrigued with kind of how Rhea is going to get to WrestleMania, whether it is the Rumble winner picking her as her opponent, or maybe she goes on to Elimination Chamber in Toronto and defends the Women's Championship inside there, or she has another little small-time feud to take her from Royal Rumble to Elimination Chamber, because I fully expect Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania be that build for that match. I think a name that I would toss around that I wouldn't hate, Natalya. We haven't seen a lot of Natalya lately, and I think just a small gap of someone who could one is completely new to the scene. I think nobody would expect Natalya to kind of be that person to take the title away, but I do think she's more than capable of having a really good feud, a really good couple matches, and really helping establish Rhea as that powerhouse that she is. So yeah, why not Rhea Ripley versus Natalya at Elimination Chamber in Toronto? Just going to throw it out there. As for Nia Jax, what's next? Obviously, the Royal Rumble. I did say that if maybe Jordynne Grace eliminates her, I wouldn't hate an initial program with Jordynne Grace. It would be a great little, you're new here, but let me teach you something. And then it's only to showcase how much of a juggernaut, pun intended, Jordynne Grace is. Obviously, if you've listened to me in the past, you know how much I absolutely loved the Tessa Blanchard versus Jordynne Grace match at TNA Genesis last week. So I think just building away from that momentum, I think Jordynne Grace, who I do expect to be in the Royal Rumble match, I think that's a good new flavor to add to your women's division and to give something to Nia Jax, and then also introduce Jordynne Grace to the WWE world. Next up, we had Braun Breaker defending his Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus, and I thought this match was absolutely fantastic in the sense that, again, I don't think that this is the end of Sheamus in the Intercontinental title picture, but I also never expected Sheamus to win the Intercontinental Championship here because I just didn't think the story was big enough for the moment of Sheamus winning that title. I think the moment of Sheamus becoming a Grand Slam champion and completing that by getting the one title that's eluded him, and that is the Intercontinental Championship, I don't think you're going to have that be in such a small capacity of what this match was. Not so much that it was small, but the sense that you can make the story much larger than life than what it was. You can make it and transform it into a WrestleMania type moment, a SummerSlam moment. And because of that, and because there's more that you can do with it, especially with someone like Sheamus, who, I mean, I think we can all agree is a future Hall of Famer. You give him that respect because he has more than earned it. He has more than deserved it, and he is capable of still having those bangers after bangers after bangers, and it doesn't hurt anybody. It just makes the Intercontinental Championship look great because it is the workhorse championship. And how do you establish a workhorse? Well, it's not about successes. It's about work rate. It's about always fighting forward, always fighting for what you want. And Sheamus's route to being champion, the Intercontinental Champion, is all about the fight. So I do think it's eventual that Sheamus becomes Intercontinental Champion, but I think him establishing that he is a workhorse to the workhorse title, I think that eventually will be told. But as of last night, it was not right then, and we will see Braun Breaker heading into the Royal Rumble, still your Intercontinental Champion, where I do think he is the one, not necessarily to watch, but to be very intrigued with what he does. He seems a lot more confident than he was this time last year, and he just seems a lot more comfortable in the WWE Raw and the big like main roster, if you will. And because of that, I think we're going to see a very impressive performance out of Braun Breaker. I would like to see him spear the everlasting crap out of Logan Paul in this Rumble. I think what better of a moment than Logan Paul trying to go viral, trying to do that jump from springboard to springboard with anyone, and gets caught with a mid-air spear by Braun Breaker, only to get eliminated. What do you think, people? I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it as I see it here. It's just on the tip of my hat. But maybe Braun Breaker versus Logan Paul at some point for the Intercontinental Championship. I think I'm okay with it. And what's next for Sheamus? Man. I really don't know. Maybe Ludwig Kaiser. I think that's the easy one. But I wouldn't hate if him and Karrion Kross even did something. I think Karrion Kross is more. I think he is a person to watch in 2025 of someone who's going to go up in the ranks. But yeah, maybe Karrion Kross versus Sheamus in the future. What do you guys think? Maybe we can see Sheamus team up with the War Raiders to go up against Karrion Kross and AOP. What do you guys think? Next up, we had Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman, and this match was exactly what I think a lot of us hoped. A put over hard match for Jacob Fatu. Now, it was a competitive match up until Jacob Fatu got the advantage, and he absolutely obliterated. That's not how you say it. He absolutely demolished Braun Strowman in the corner with running thrust shots after running thrust shots, to the point where the referee had to do something. Braun Strowman is lying down. He is head on the turnbuckle. His ear is up against the metal connector of the ring post and the turnbuckle. So every time he gets hit, his head is bouncing off this metal. You can see it. His side of his head is busted open. The referee needed Braun Strowman out of the corner. So he needed Jacob Fatu to stop it. He needed to check on him, to the point where Jacob Fatu grabbed the referee and threw him down, only to keep doing these thrust attacks. And the referee had no choice. He called for the bell, disqualified Jacob Fatu, not because of the thrust, but because he put his hands on the official. You just can't do that. And I know not a lot of people really probably enjoyed the quick stoppage of this match, but no integrity was lost. The referee did exactly what he should do, and that is anytime somebody puts their hands on him, disqualify that guy or girl, right? So the integrity of the official remains intact, but the ability of Jacob Fatu taking somebody like Braun Strowman and treating him like somebody lesser, that was a sight to see. A real big push for Jacob Fatu. You have the monster among monsters here. You have a former Universal Champion. You have somebody that has been protected in the sense of making sure that he's not just doing bumps for the sake of bumps. He is treated like a big man should in professional wrestling. And Jacob Fatu, who is smaller in size, but makes up for it for sheer intensity, sheer aggressiveness, and sheer speed and athleticism. He is a complete package when it comes to the performer side. And because of that, he lived up to his name as the Samoan werewolf, because he smelled blood, and it was a great thing just to watch, especially when you saw the moment of Tama Tonga trying to hold Jacob Fatu back. It just shows you that there's a couple screw looses with Jacob Fatu. Chris Best coming in saying the story of the match was what Jacob did to Braun after the match. So in my eyes, the DQ finish was the perfect way to end this match. Yeah, and that's just the thing. When I said Braun Strowman is protected in that way, he was protected with the DQ as well. And Jacob Fatu was protected with the DQ as well, because it only adds to the wild card that Jacob Fatu can be and is. So it's not a bad way to view it. They're going to use this in a video package and vignettes down the road. They're going to use this as an example. And then down the line, again, you're making a Braun Strowman return against Jacob Fatu matter. So that is something I do like. This is also something I saw with Braun Strowman on Raw, with the Wyatt Six on Raw. A lot of speculation was, is Braun Strowman going to be in any way attached to the Wyatt Six? We didn't see that. But now that Braun Strowman has been kind of beaten down and kind of is perceived to be at the lowest point that he's been at in the longest time, he kind of fits the mold of where the Wyatt Six started and how they were put together. Not to mention, you see kind of Solo Sikoa and what he's done, and then kind of broke away from his family. Jacob Fatu attached himself to that. The bloodline is just smeared with family issues, right? And that's exactly the target of Wyatt 6. So do I think the Wyatt 6 could scoop up Braun Strowman? I think it's a possible way of connecting these two. And because of that, I think this could be a way to see whatever group Jacob Fatu maybe has down the road, because I do think this is leading to him having one, could also lead to a Wyatt 6 versus that group in some way, shape, or form. Next up, we had the contract signing between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, moderated by Shawn Michaels, San Antonio's own. And why I say that? Because this whole event was in San Antonio. And this was great. Cody Rhodes comes down in his nicest three-piece suit, coming down like a champion should. You know, that old school champion, you got to dress the part to be the part. Well, Kevin Owens is coming down wearing a Cody Sucks Egg shirt. Yes, there's double meaning there, and one is definitely the throwback to when Terry Funk wore that against Dusty, to where the shirt said Dusty Sucks Eggs. But the meaning of the phrase is also quite ironic, just based on the fact that it basically means if somebody is telling you something, they more or less are kind of a, what's the right word? They're in a way maybe not a hypocrite, but like if I told you that you shouldn't steal, but then I went and stole, you know, something along those lines. In the sense that Kevin Owens is always known for betraying his friends, and everybody vilifies him for doing so. Cody Rhodes even has said that, but then Cody Rhodes, in Kevin Owens' mind, is only doing the same thing and getting cheered for it. So kind of has that double meaning where it's throwing throwback to a thing about Cody's father that happened, but then also in a weird way refreshing the meaning and kind of giving it something more modern as well. So I do appreciate that, the levels of what was done here. And obviously this was a contract signing where people talk, people sign the contract, everything's all done. Except the tidbit is Kevin Owens was caught off guard when Shawn Michaels said, "You sound jealous right now," to the point where Kevin Owens took exception of that, got a little bit heated, that made sure he signed the contract and slapped it over the chest of Shawn Michaels. So when Shawn Michaels brought the official in to hang up both the Winged Eagle and the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship and hung them up, which, by the way, that visual of the two men looking and then the hanger for the championships to come down directly in front of men, absolutely beautiful. Like, let's just call a spade here. Absolutely beautiful. So because of that, we are just doing such fantastic things. Also, I just want to, if anybody is watching on the Instagram Live, the feed somehow is not working out. I apologize. I did cancel it. I'm going to look at potentially putting it back up, but if you guys want to maybe come over to a different one for now, I'm just giving you guys the heads up before I officially do end that stream. Yeah, I know. This contract signing was kind of fun in that way where you saw kind of that, and then only for when after the titles were raised, Shawn Michaels goes to shake the hand of both competitors. Obviously, Cody Rhodes does, and Kevin Owens does not shake the hand. But he takes a cheap shot of Cody Rhodes and then a cheap shot to Shawn Michaels. And what kind of was interesting there is Jen tried to package pile drive Shawn Michaels, only to be super kicked by Kevin Owens. And then when you saw the super kick, Shawn Michaels decided to tune up the band and then deliver a super kick of his own. And that got the crowd pretty wild. So with that being said, you were kind of left with this wonder of, are we going to get Shawn Michaels and Cody Rhodes or Kevin Owens? It's weird. Like, what was the point of Shawn Michaels being involved? Does that just help Kevin Owens' point? Because why is Cody Rhodes getting all this help? You know, like, he could have the help of Shawn Michaels. He could have the help of a returning Randy Orton. He could have the help of Rey Mysterio. But who's helping Kevin Owens? We saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on Monday have that in-ring segment where Kevin Owens kind of just said, I know that if I need you, you'll be there. Does Sami Zayn help Kevin Owens defeat Cody Rhodes on Saturday? That is something I'm very curious about. But the main event, we saw the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther take on Jey Uso, which was, in my eyes, the match of the night. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a back-and-forth match to where we were teased multiple times that Jey Uso was winning this match. And let me tell you, everyone who watched this match at one point or not had a thought, oh my God, are they actually going to have Jey Uso win this match? At least once. And no, Jey Uso came as close as he possibly could, but could not dethrone the Ring General, where back-to-back power bombs were enough for Gunther to retain his championship. But it was the aftermath that really stood out, to the point where Gunther looked down on Jey Uso prior to this match. Did not think Jey Uso had what it took to be champion. But somehow, through the war, the battle they had, not only found respect, but I think saw the potential of Jey Uso and knows that there is something there. Mutual respect, I think, was shown by the faces of both Jey Uso and Gunther after that match, as picture is worth 1,000 words here. And just the look on both men's face after this match, I think signifies that we have not seen the last of these two. Now, do I think Jey Uso is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship at one point? I sure do. And I think this match really propels Jey Uso from having maybe a more prominent role in Saturday's Royal Rumble match. I think Jey Uso is a strong dark horse for the 2025 Royal Rumble match, and I would not hate it if the build-up to this year's WrestleMania on the World Heavyweight Championship side was a Jey Uso championship. What do you guys think? Now, do I have Jey Uso as my favorite for the Royal Rumble? No. I do have CM Punk. I do have CM Punk beating Gunther at WrestleMania. But, well, at least I have CM Punk capturing that championship at WrestleMania. But I also would not hate Jey Uso being that person instead. If we see Seth Rollins be that person to cost CM Punk his spot at WrestleMania, and we see that story continue to WrestleMania, I'd be okay with it. And if we are on our way to see the Yeet really go all the way, I'm okay with it. It's been a while since we really saw an up-and-comer win the Royal Rumble and use that to propel himself to that next level. Lately, we've had back-to-back Cody Rhodes wins. Somebody that we already know was in that level, right? But I think Jey Uso, he is not. He is not where Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes are. That is a level everyone tries to aspire to. But he is one of the most popular. He is one of the more consistent, and he is definitely one of the more must-see additions in wrestling. So I do think Jey Uso is much more than primed to have a successful run. Whether or not it's Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, King of the Ring, I don't know. But I think 2025, Jey Uso will win one of those. So overall, Saturday night's main event, I thought it was a great show. Fantastic. It did everything it needed to do, and it gave you a little bit more. Was it the best show we've ever seen? Absolutely not. But it was far from the worst. Far from the worst. Why? Because every single match delivered. The contract signing delivered. It made you amped up for what's next, which is the Royal Rumble in 6 days. So I think that is very, very cool to see. Now, there's a lot of Royal Rumble talk. Right now, we have 4 matches scheduled for the Royal Rumble. We have the men and women's Royal Rumble. And we have DIY going up against the Motor City Machine Guns for a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. We then have Cody Rhodes defending his Undisputed Universal Championship against Kevin Owens' Winged Eagle Championship in a ladder match. So why don't we get to it? I have CM Punk and Io Sky winning the respective Royal Rumbles, but what do I see in those matches that stand out? Well, Jordynne Grace eliminates Nia Jax. I think we see Joe Hendry and we see Nick Nemeth in the men's Royal Rumble match. I'm going to give you a bold prediction, and I have Joe Hendry eliminating John Cena in the men's Royal Rumble. That is my bold prediction for the men's. For the women's, I think in the women's, we are going to see Mickie James return in the match. And I think we're going to see Mickie James and Becky Lynch at some point. And maybe that could be your number 1 and number 2. We got Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY, which I think could very well steal the show. I think both matches outside of the Rumble have a strong candidacy for the match of the night, as well as the Rumble matches, because if you ask me, last year's men's Rumble match, I think is one of the best. So the capability of a Rumble match standing out, I think, is high. Because the year prior, the women's match was badass. So, yeah. But in terms of the Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY, I got the Machine Guns winning fall 1. Then I have DIY winning round 2. And then I have DIY cheating their way to retaining their championships. Why do I say that? Because I have a feeling we could see the Street Profits interject in this match. I have a feeling we can see Pretty Deadly interject themselves in this match. Is this going to be as pure of a match as people think? For a good chunk of it, yes. But overall, I do have DIY retaining their championships. And then we move on to Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. This match is very interesting to me because if there was a time you thought Cody Rhodes could lose his championship, this might be the time. I think there is money in Cody Rhodes as your champion. I 100% do. But I do not believe that we're going to see Kevin Owens lose another championship match at the Royal Rumble and be pushed aside. What he is doing is one of the best things there is. Now, can I see Cody Rhodes win and retrieve both championships off the ladder? I 100% do. And if I was going to bet my money on it, that's what I'm betting on. But if I want the shock of the night, Kevin Owens, with the help of either Sami Zayn or Randy Orton, maybe even Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre. If you want to shock the world, Kevin Owens becomes your new champion. And I think that is very, very newsworthy when you look at the fact of during this entire run of Kevin Owens, he has trolled a lot of people. But the two main figures that he has got physically involved with were Triple H and Shawn Michaels at both the Saturday night's main events. And I think that says something. You haven't seen Triple H in a long time get physically attached to someone, and you don't see Shawn Michaels do it that much. Not to that point. Now, we saw him in NXT when Ava Raine got pushed over by the door by Eddie Thorpe. We saw that to where Shawn Michaels pushed Eddie Thorpe, put him against the wall, told him to get out of there. But he was protecting someone. He was doing his job in that realm of protecting his general manager. The instance last night at Saturday Night's main event, Shawn Michaels acted on his own and acted out in terms of, I wanted to get revenge for the kick to the gut and the attempt for the package pile driver. It was something different there. So the fact that this is happening and is going towards Kevin Owens makes me believe that there is something larger to happen with Kevin Owens. And maybe, just maybe, this is leading to a world title victory. But you guys don't want flippy flop. Make a case for both guys. You want to know who my predictions are, so I'm going to give you my predictions. Cody Rhodes will walk out champion. DIY will walk out champions. CM Punk, Io Sky walk out Rumble winners. Those are my predictions. Boy, do I want them to give me a curveball. I want WWE to throw me the best curveball. I want to be caught looking and caught wondering what just happened. Unfortunately, just for everyone, the Instagram feed will not be coming back on. Don't know why. What's going on there? The connection just isn't working out, so we're just going to bypass that. So for anybody who may or may not have been watching on Instagram, I do apologize. I do want to let everybody know that unfortunately next week, episode 62, Instagram Live for the episode will not be happening. One of the reasons is it is going to be a pre-recorded show. I am proud to say that I will be interviewing and talking with Love Wrestling Zone, Between Two Beards Zone, For Exposure's own Pluggo, as he is returning to the Chris Perish podcast. And we chat a little bit more about him, how he became a wrestling fan, how he got into podcasting and content creation, how he even came up with the Pluggo name, and how Between Two Beards came to be. So it's a fun conversation, but we will be streaming on the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitch, and the X account. The Instagram, unfortunately, I won't be able to do simply because I will be on flights that day, so I won't have much access to the live feeds there. However, if you subscribe to the Chris Perish podcast on Spotify, you will get a live showing of that. Normally, I do upload the Chris Perish podcast after the live stream of any episodes, but next week is a special case to still give you that 5 moves of doom. I have scheduled that episode 62 with Pluggo, to stream live at 12:15 p.m. Eastern on Spotify. So make sure you're checking out the Chris Perish podcast on Spotify. Rate it 5 stars if you can. That would be amazing. But yes, so next week, Spotify will be tagged in while Instagram is tagging out for 1 week, just 1 week, people. It's okay. I will be returning to episode 63 like normal. So it'll be just okay. Now, we're 44 or almost 44 minutes in, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to let everybody know that Turnbuckle Studios has a wonderful catalog of shows. The Turnbuckle Affiliation Program is a great way to get yourself introduced to podcasting and content creation. I mentioned earlier that a video will be played to showcase what we have, and that is where we're going right now. So make sure you're checking out all the beautiful content that Turnbuckle Studios and its affiliation program are combining to bring to you right now.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m., followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursday we got total non-stop action with Brace for Impact at 8 p.m. Friday we game again with Unleashed, the Jessica Wilde story at 7 p.m. Following the game, join us for the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday be sure to catch the Chris Perish podcast at 12:15 p.m. followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
That's right. That is the beautiful programming you can see on Turnbuckle Studios and all of its platforms. And make sure that you give everyone that you see it, if you can, a like, a follow, subscribe, and get engaged in their shows and their chats, because that would be a wonderful thing. Now, I said I was going to let you guys know who won the Chris Perish Podcast Draft Part 2, or number 2. And I'm proud to let you know. Now, we had 2 things to draft on. We had the Women's Tag Team Championship matches, which was a lot of fun because you had Bianca Belair and Naomi defending their tag team titles, and your choices were Casey Squared, Kabuki Warriors, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the Unholy Union. Now, there's multiple ways you could vote, whether it was Spotify, whether it was DM messages. And I'm proud to let you guys know that the Unholy Union are your winners. So, Carafel, you picked the correct team that would dethrone the champions. So, congratulations, Carl Carafel. You won the women's championship. There, those championships are going to your show. I believe you had SmackDown. Now, the big one, the winner of the Chris Perish podcast was a tie. It sucks, but there is a tie. Raw and NXT tied at 7 votes apiece. So, I don't know what I was going to do, but kind of on the spot thinking what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the voting up to episode 63. That's right, when I'm back live. I am going to put a poll up on my Twitter, and I am going to throw it up for the social medias. Whoever collects more votes between that time will officially win. I don't like ties. I don't want ties. I am not accepting ties. It's best saying we can share the custody of the trophy. No, we can't. No, we can't. That's not how I do things here at the Chris Perish podcast. I'm making the executive decision that we are going to get a winner. I am President Jack Tunney coming out during the end of the 60-minute Iron Man match, and I'm saying, we are going to overtime. There is no way a tie is happening. So yeah, please make sure you're following all my socials to vote, because it shall be interesting. I also said I was going to rank down my, not really rank, but let you guys know my top 5 Royal Rumble moments. And this is in no order, and it's also mine. It is just a personal opinion of things that I enjoyed. And yeah, some of them I needed time to understand the magnitude of it, because at the time you may not have known how special it was. But needless to say, this is where I start with number 5, and that is Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in the Pitch Black Mountain Dew match. At the time, 100% I could agree that this was a gimmick match, something that I wasn't expecting much out of. I was more curious to see what the match was going to look like. The reason why it just holds a special place with me is because not only was I there in San Antonio and I got to see this match, and I think the live crowd had just a completely different perception of this match of those who just watched it on a screen, but it also happened to be Bray Wyatt's last televised match, and because of that, it holds a very special place with me. It was also beautiful because it was the last time on television you saw Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, the real life brothers, work with each other. So if anybody out there who has a brother and they know they got to do something special, they got to do something with their brother in something they both loved, I think that's really cool. I think that's really special as I grow up now, entering different chapters of my life. Being able to see something like that and knowing that those two who had both been released from WWE, they had both almost been given up by the company at times, only to come back and they were doing something, and then now you're seeing Bo Dallas being resurrected in the Wyatt 6, and it's a completely different thing now. I think just such a beautiful thing to see. And yeah, so definitely Bray Wyatt's last match against LA Knight was something that I will always take and hold inside. Just best coming in saying the pitch black match is a match that I've come to appreciate over time, and it's not because of Bray's passing. This generally is an entertaining match. Yeah, and the one thing too is if a lot of people really saw the Easter eggs there, and there was a lot of paint that Bray Wyatt wore, whether it's a mask on there. Now, when the lights were on, you didn't see it, but when the lights were low and you're in that black kind of lighting, you saw the neon paints. Bray Wyatt had the Roman numeral 6 on the side of his head, so even then the Wyatt 6 was a foreshadowed idea. He was foreshadowing the Wyatt 6 already, so we all know that when it came to Bray Wyatt's ideas, nothing was a spur of the moment for the most part. Everything was very much planned out. So, yeah, we can always wonder what the Wyatt 6 would look like had Bray not passed. But I think what's really awesome about the world that we live in is that Bray's memory and Bray's kind of being is still living with us through the Wyatt 6. So, a weird kind of way to remember someone, but a way to remember someone nonetheless. So that was my number 5. My number 4, you got to take yourself all the way back to 1994. You know, I'm going to stay on the brother train. And we saw Owen Hart and Bret Hart go after the Quebecers for the tag team championships. Owen Hart, all he wanted to do was be tagged in this match. Bret Hart was, getting beat up. And there was a point in the match where Bret Hart, on one side you could say all he was trying to do was what he's known to do, and that is overcome and win the match. But in the eyes of Owen Hart, all he did was trying to take credit for the match, trying to win it himself, trying to do everything for himself. Bret Hart ended up not being successful in this match. In fact, the Quebecers retained their championships. Owen Hart then showed very little sympathy on Bret as he kicked the injured knee. And in his famous word, kicked his leg out of his leg. So an absolute fantastic thing. This is the kind of the time where I started as a wrestling fan really cling to Owen. Now, famously, I've always been a Shawn Michaels guy. I was a Shawn Michaels guy over a Bret Hart guy. Also, honesty, I'm an Oilers fan. Our number one rivals, the Flames. Maybe I've just always hated Calgary. I don't know, but I always rooted against Calgary my whole life. Weird, I know. But being the younger brother in a family really came to relatability with Owen, because for whatever reason, whether or not it was legit or whether it was anything, there was just a relatability factor I had with Owen, especially when you saw what that did, and then you go all the way to WrestleMania 10, where Owen defeated Bret in the opening match of WrestleMania 10, only to see Bret Hart then win the title from Yoko. And I just thought it was a beautiful, beautiful story. Best coming in. Owen kicked Breg's leg out of his leg. I actually didn't blame Owen for that. I blamed the ref for that finish. And then I was 11 and didn't know better. Yeah. You were only 11. Yeah, that's a long time ago, man. It was. But yeah. So that was also kind of the time I started really noticing that I was relating more to Owen just from being that younger brother, trying to step out of the shadows of his older brother, per se. Not that, in my case, I had jealousy. It was just always, I was just a little envious. Number 3. It was actually another moment that I was there live for, and that was Sami Zayn turning on the bloodline and smacking Roman Reigns in the back with a steel chair when he refused to hit Kevin Owens, who was in handcuffs, tied to the ropes, getting absolutely blasted by super kick after super kick after super kick by Jimmy and Jey Uso, then instructed by Roman to attack Kevin. He didn't want to. It was his friend. And I think that is something to really also kind of point out. Sami Zayn, when times got tough, chose Kevin Owens over Roman, Jimmy, Jey, Solo, Heyman. Just saying. This was only 2 years ago. But the ovation Sami Zayn got was absolutely thunderous. This led to a match in Montreal for the championship, Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. I don't think anybody expected fully Sami to win, but holy. When I talked about earlier about Jey just doing everything he could, it's very similar, but the magnitude maybe a little higher in this case. And this was absolutely fantastic. This allowed Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn to reunite eventually, and then eventually beating the Usos in the final match of night 1 at WrestleMania. So number 2, I have a match. I have a match with one of the best technicians to ever step foot in pro wrestling, and against a man that for the longest time we weren't able to talk about. That's right. The Royal Rumble match for the World Championship between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. Now, this ain't, let's highlight Chris Benoit and everything he's done. This is a highlight a pure wrestling classic match. I was in awe when this match was over. I was in absolute just complete. This was fantastic. As soon as I saw the match. Didn't see a lot of strikes, more holds, more moves, but, done in a wrestling capacity. Very physical, very intense match. And I think it highlights the Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit rivalry. It might be my favorite Kurt Angle match. It's easily my favorite Benoit match. But just as a fan of pro wrestling, this was a match that was nothing short of brilliant. Just from a pure wrestling standpoint, I completely loved it. My number 1 moment, though, I already told you guys I'm a Shawn Michaels fan. I was through and through from day one. Royal Rumble 95 was the first pay-per-view at the time there were pay-per-views I've ever seen live. I remember this because this is why I went to the Rumble 2 years ago. I was invited to go to a viewing of the Royal Rumble 95. I was 9 on my way to being 10 later that year. And I'm a Shawn Michaels fan. And that was the famous year where Shawn Michaels drew number 1. Starts it off with the British Bulldog. Only to go on. And we saw Shawn Michaels and British Bulldog and the Royal Rumble. Number 1 and number 2 remained the entire way. This is where we saw the infamous both feet have to touch the floor rule, where British Bulldog clotheslined Shawn Michaels over the top. Shawn Michaels held on to the top rope as he was trying to bring his way back in. 1 foot touched the ground. He then kicked back up, got back in the ring, and as British Bulldog instantly celebrated, his music was even playing. He's on the top, kind of just, celebrating to the crowd, back away from Shawn. Shawn Michaels comes in, double axe handle, and just throws him over to end up winning. 9-year-old kid, absolutely happy. My guy won the Royal Rumble. I was absolutely ecstatic. And what I loved about this Rumble, even though it wasn't the greatest Rumble, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was actually one of the shorter ones. But what I loved was just watching Shawn Michaels really in that match. The way he sells during a match, the way he makes an attempt of an elimination look larger than life, and just he's able to make the little things matter so much more. That is what I truly take away from Shawn Michaels in the Royal Rumble. Was it his best performance in a Royal Rumble? No. The year that, he faced Undertaker and that was his last chance. I don't remember the year. I'm sure best you will let me know. That was probably his best performance in a Royal Rumble. But a personal just favorite moment was Shawn Michaels doing that because, again, he goes on to WrestleMania 11 to have a world title match against Diesel. And I thought that match really put him on the map of being viewed as a champion. I think the performance he gave in that match kind of showcased Shawn Michaels as a main event performer. Obviously, we know what happens the year after. He super kicks Diesel out of the ring, wins his back-to-back Rumble, only to go on and beat Shawn in the Iron Man at WrestleMania 12. But yeah, Chris Vest coming in saying, the 95 Rumble match is a match I go to when I want to watch a Rumble but don't have a lot of time to do so. Yeah, I do believe it is the shortest Royal Rumble match. I want to say it was like 40-some minutes long. But yeah, those are my top 5 moments. You can, on Spotify or even on the comments parts of any one of these, whether it's the Facebook or YouTube, comment below your favorite Royal Rumble moments as we gear onto the Royal Rumble. Make sure that you're checking in on the PLE Patrol that is live on Turnbuckle Studios for the Royal Rumble. Make sure that you're also checking out beercadewhyte for their viewing of the Royal Rumble. If you have a chance to win prizes, remember, not only are you going to get the in-house prize when you win, but you're also going to be able to collect a prize from the event itself. The nice thing is I get to choose what these are, and, well, let's just say it ain't going to be a keychain, so you guys are okay. It ain't going to be something insane like a custom championship title, so I do have to go across the border and bring it back. But all I know is because of the partnership with Beercade and myself, we will be doing something very nice for the people who support us and the local people who are coming out. So if you're local and you have a chance to come to beercadewhyte on Saturday to check out the Royal Rumble match, please do so. If you have a chance to go check out Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, make sure you do so. And if you're like me and you're just running out of energy, brother, make sure you're checking out Rogue Energy and you're using the promo code PERISH at checkout and save yourself 10%. And then you can absolutely kick out when the time gets tough and before the rest hand comes down for the 3. You can say, I'm good to go. This has been episode 62. I thank every single one of you for taking this ride along with me. Hopefully you have a great rest of your week. I will see you back live tomorrow for the Raw Patrol. And then next time we'll be in 2 weeks for episode 63 for the Chris Perish podcast. So have a great time. Bobby, we're signing off, but hello to you. Thank you for checking out the Chris Perish podcast. Appreciate it, my friend. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the Rumble. Enjoy this next week of professional wrestling. And remember, be yourself, be happy, be healthy, because at the end of the day, you matter.
Rip through the clouds, fast to catch us from falling close to